In March of 2021, I received hundreds of letters dating from 1863 to 1877, sent to the T.P. Howell Company of Newark. They were one of the largest leather operations in the world. In this series of videos, I attempt to decipher the handwriting used in those letters. Middletown, February 12, 1869. Messrs. T.P. Howell and Company, New York. Gents, the #1 enameled leather which you sent us for J.L. Christ was rather heavy for their use, although he used 3 hides of it. We have taken back 2 hides, 58 feet and 64 feet, which we sold to Messrs. I can't make this out. I don't know if that's an H or an N. Nail and Brink. You will please send us 2 hides, the same number of feet, 122 feet, a little lighter than the last lot, and oblige. Yours truly, Howell-Hinchman and Company. And down here we see some penciled in multiplication. And it looks like he's multiplying 24 by 42 and then reversing it, probably as a means to make sure he comes up with the same result. This abbreviation right here, END, I'm almost certain is an abbreviation for enameled. T.P. Howell did a lot in the manufacturing of enameled leather, which I believe is very similar or the same as what we know as patent leather. Middletown, February 11th, 1869. Messrs. T.P. Howell and Company, New York. Gents, we have on the frames 90 sides russet medium leather, but we are having miserable weather. We are having miserable weather for drying. We will send it as soon as we can get it dry. We will split a lot of leather for suspender next week. We have bleached 200 hides of russet bridle, and part of it has been on the frames for a week and is not dry yet. We are much in want of Gambier. Will you please send us some and oblige? Yours truly, Howell-Hinchman and Company. And this written in down here is also Gambier, which I never would have been able to figure out on its own. The only reason I was able to decipher that was because of the earlier reference to it in another handwriting right here. And I don't know if this is the same Gambier that Howell-Hinchman requested back in January, or if it's just a new batch of it. As a reminder, Gambier is a shrub that's mainly grown in Asia, and it's used in the tanning process as a brown dye and also other tanning agents. Middletown, February 9th, 1869. Messrs. T.P. Howell and Company. Newark. Gents, one of our Middletown boys, a courier, had $2,800, which he was anxious we should take for 3 months. We have done so and given him our note dated February 9th for 3 months. Consequently, we will not have to draw on you this week. Hoping this will meet with your approval. We remain yours truly, Howell-Hinchman and Company. P.S. We telegraphed you today for black oak bark. We are entirely out and need it very much. Black oak bark is produces a very dark maroon color in leather. And I'm guessing up here where they have an employee who is looking to, I'm assuming, earn a little interest on some money that he has. And by giving it to his employer, he's expecting a little bit more money back in 3 months. Middletown, February 19, 1869. Messrs. T.P. Howell and Company, New York. Will Harry please remind Mr. T.P.H., Theodore Pike Howell, of sending Gambier to us and oblige. Yours truly, Howell-Hinchman and Company. They're still looking for that Gambier. Middletown, March 9th, 1869. Messrs. T.P. Howell and Company, Newark. Gentlemen, yours of the 6th inst was received this a.m. We have not made any contract with Peter Cooper for another year. They wrote us the following February 19th. On account of lower rates for glue, we are compelled to reduce prices for our wet stock. On all stock sent until March 1st, we will allow present rates, but after that date, until further notice, we will offer you 1 1/2 cent per pound here. For last year's stock, we got 1 3/4 delivered on the cars. You will see that the deduction is 1/4 cent per pound beside the freight. We have made one shipment this month. Yours truly, Howell-Hinchman and Company. Just a reminder regarding this INS. Usually it appears as INST, which is that Latin abbreviation which means the current month. Okay, what's going on in this letter is that in the past they contracted with Peter Cooper, who purchased some of the waste product from the tanning process. Remember, flesh is often removed from the hide, and this flesh that is scraped off and what other byproducts is not used by the tannery, but it is used, for example, in the making of glue, which is the business, evidently, that Peter Cooper is in. But because the price of glue, he's not making as much for his products, he has to pass his loss on to the tanneries. So he's offering them less money for their glue or wet stock. One clarification. When he says yours of the 6th, he means your letter of the 6th of the current month was received. Middletown, March 13, 1869. Messrs. T.P. Howell and Company, Newark. Gents, will you please send us black oak bark? We use the last we had today. Yours truly, Howell-Hinchman and Company. And I believe this here is the word sent. Middletown, March 30th, 1869. T.P. Howell and Company. Gents, Mr. O.B. Wheeler of this place was in our office this morning and wanted us to give his son a letter of introduction to you. You remember I spoke to you about Mr. Wheeler's wanting us to ask you if you would not like to take an interest with his son in a upper leather factory. I told him I did, and that you did not care to do so. His son thinks you confront him in regard to the upper leather business, or direct him to parties that can, or would like to take an interest with him. We have given him a letter to you. We have bought 200 Scranton hides and will probably want to send him draft on you for the last of the week for $1,600. Yours truly, Howell-Hinchman and Company. There was a young man who wanted to invest in a factory or start up a factory, I'm not sure which, but an upper leather factory which would have manufactured the leather uppers for shoes. Interestingly enough, in the late 1860s, it was at that time when shoe factories became more prominent. Prior to shoe factories, these upper leather factories would produce the leather uppers and then send them off to a shop or women in the home to hand stitch to the soles of the shoes. But in the late 1860s, new machinery, such as the sewing machine, stitching machines, really changed the production capability of shoes. I still think this young man is not looking to start up or invest in a full-blown shoe factory, but rather just the part of the process that creates the upper part of the shoe and then is passed on to another party to complete the process. This concludes part 2 of this series. I hope you'll join me for part 3.